Our final video will be about preparing the financing activities section of the statement of cash flows. As was true with the investing activities section, preparing the financing activities section can be a little challenging. As you'll recall, financing activities include cash flows from transactions with creditors and with shareholders. As a side note, financing cash flows do not include interest expense because it is part of net income on the income statement and therefore reported in operating activities already. Information to compute cash flows from financing activities is usually found by comparing the beginning and ending balance sheets and by analyzing the income statement. As we did with investing activities, we can usually explain the changes in each account by reconstructing transactions with T accounts and journal entries. And sometimes we need to gather additional information, such as the amount of dividends paid or whether stock was issued or repurchased. In this example, bonds payable did not change because they do not mature until 2020. However, common stock increased $10,000 between 2015 and 2016 as a result of a stock issuance. This transaction would be reflected as a $10,000 cash inflow in the financing activities section of the statement. Because no dividends were paid, we could look at the income to verify that the change in retained earnings is equal to net income. If it is, we don't have to do anything more because net income is an operating activity. Let's consider another example. Are these financing activities? Mark down which ones qualify. Net income? No. Remember, we already used it in the operating activities section. Sale of common stock? Yes, it is a transaction with shareholders. What about cash dividends paid? Yes, when the company pays dividends to its stockholders, it is considered a financing activity. Alternately, when a company has purchased stock in an outside company as an investment, the dividend received will be on the income statement, and that will be an operating item. What about payment of notes payable? Clearly, this is a transaction with a lender, so yes, it is a financing activity. The purchase of treasury stock is another transaction with stockholders. You learned about this in a previous chapter. And what about the purchase of equipment? No, equipment is a non-current asset, and we deal with those items in the investing activities section. We will prepare the financing section first by reporting the cash received from the sale of stock of $74,000. Then we report cash outflows for the payment of dividends of $11,000, the repayment of notes payable of $120,000, and the purchase of treasury stock of $116,000. Add them up to get the net cash used in financing activities of $173,000. So what does all of this cash flow information mean? Users of the cash flow statement tend to read it in a certain way. First, they look at the overall change in cash to see if it's positive or negative. It could be either, but the fact will lead us to investigate whether cash was provided or used in each of the operating, investing, and financing sections. The operating activities section is critical. As a general rule, we want to see a positive number at the bottom of that section. In other words, net cash provided by operating activities. Operating activities are the things a company does for its core business, and it needs to generate positive cash flow in order to continue in business or even expand. You can't survive without cash from operations. If investing activities yield negative cash flows, that's generally okay too, because it means the company is possibly expanding or it's seeking investment opportunities for its extra cash. Financing activities tell the rest of the story and can yield positive or negative cash flows. This section sometimes indicates how the company got money to expand or shows that the company is paying down its debt or rewarding its shareholders with its extra funds. I hope this discussion has improved your understanding of the statement of cash flows. And that's our final video. Great job! Time to catch your breath and relax. See you online.